Good morning, Vietnam. Good morning, TerraMike, and good morning, the rest of the world. It actually is morning in Vietnam, and I always want to say that. How are you?
Pretty good. It's kind of morning for me. I've been on like an EDC schedule for the past weekend, so we've been sleeping funny hours.
Fair enough. Yeah. Where are you? You're at your home or you're traveling?
I'm home. Yeah, I'm in Vegas.
I'm trying to figure out whether that's a shirt that you're wearing or whether that's a picture that you were trying to hold up before. If you don't know, if you don't know who TerraMike is, it's one of our favorites on the show. You're an artist, you're a creator, you do portals and crazy tie-dye t-shirts that were kind of happening with Jumbi Art and on your own before you found the Uplift, and then you trying to kind of morph that into all that you do. So yeah, welcome. Back to the show.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Did anyone ever claim that horse? That's really all I need to know.
No, I've not gotten any messages or anything. Like, I'm pretty easy to reach. So,
that was the best message ever. So, yeah. So I'm excited to have you here. I kind of want to play that promo by Gary. That's our recent promo. And there's like some pretty cool robot builds in the world, and it was one of the early kind of shows that we met. You were creating this kind of playground over in Genesis called the Exit at Boardwalk 81.
Yeah.
And then you kind of morph that into these giant transformers. And now I woke up this morning and I see that like you're over in Uplift and you've created like a giant Voltron statue. So yeah, like what is it like? I'm a big fan, right? Like I grew up maybe around the same time as you, maybe a little bit earlier, but like you have a thing. You have a thing for giant robots, and I want to know.
Well, okay, so hold on. That's not me building them. That's my best friend. Okay. And we grew up together on all this stuff, right? So he just kind of has fun building things, and I just sort of let him rock, but it's actually in London, and it's in the middle of the water. And I told the story last time. It was the piece of land that Corey had jumped on a Twitter space while I was telling him a story. And he was like, I feel like a proud dad right now. Like, I want to thank you. So he sent us this piece of land. And it took us a while to get to it because it's in the middle of the ocean, right? So it was tough to build, but all of that came out of that plot in the middle of the ocean. All of that Voltron stuff came from there. I mean, we ran around and bought certain things that we needed, but that's been like 6 months kind of like farming all the components and all the things needed to build that. But that was not me. That is my best friend who is kind of in there all the time, having fun building stuff. He built Iron Man somewhere. I don't
built
know
Iron Man. That's huge.
Yeah, there's like an old school Iron Man, like the old comic book, like red and yellow, like, tin head Iron Man.
I'm gonna go and see if I can find Voltron. All right, let's see. So you sent me the coordinates too.
Yeah, it's like
he said it is 2850 by 3350.
Yes, that is it.
So
yeah, I didn't even know he was building that until he sent me screenshots when it was done.
Ouch. It just fell from the sky. Okay, let's see. This is pretty cool, man. I recently covered an article. I think it was the last one I covered by Ever Drew Down, and he had built a replica of the Arc de whatever it's called, I forget, Triome or something. The one that exists in Paris, that like arch. It's kind of in the middle of the city.
Oh yeah.
And he had said that he really wanted to go to one of these places, and I kind of misread what he wrote when he submitted the form. And then later when I went back, it kind of made sense. But what I misread it as was even more telling, really. It said, you know, for now it's just the uplift because I can't go there. But what I thought he had said was like, this is the perfect kind of build. He had done a really good job. But you guys, whenever I see what you put together, those are the exact sentiments that I kind of have. For some reason, these robots that you guys are creating, they actually work really well in the uplift. I mean,
oh wow,
like, I don't know whether it's the blockiness of it, because like of the show, they were always blocky as well, those old school type of robots, but it's all done in survival, and like this is massive, dude. Like this is really well done. I mean, if you're a fan of Voltron, like that, those are some pretty sweet lion heads, man. Like
yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing it this close because I'm on the other side of the London map with my new property, so this is great. Like yeah. I'm loving this,
dude. Like this is really well done. Like I saw like a couple images on Twitter you guys threw up there, but like this is all built in survival too, right? Like
yeah that's not a Genesis world.
It's massive. Like it's just huge. Like look at how small I am, like standing here looking down, right? Like that's, yeah, it's just really well done. Like hats off to you guys and your giant robots. Like I'm gonna come in here later and I'm gonna like be taking some screenshots for sure. So this is a 50 by 50 plot. And it looks like you guys have used the whole thing. And like you said, it's in the middle of the ocean. It's just there, right? Like just towering above everything else.
Yeah, we had to go buy like underwater breathing potions so that we can touch land enough to get something to put that first block above the water. It right. was a challenge to do, but it was fun. And yeah.
Yeah, it's super difficult. Like my go-to is usually sand on these, but like it's like you guys got a bee farm in here, which is pretty cool, right? Tons of resources. So I think, and like making this in survival is difficult, but it's much easier now that they have the plugged-in economy, right? Like.
Oh flags, yeah, anything like, we needed, we just went and bought. Someone's selling it like really close. You just take your boat, go grab whatever you need, and we're lucky to have a couple like really awesome mega stores really close to us.
Yeah, I mean, there's pretty. Like it's really well done. The color coding. If you guys ever watch Voltron, like I don't even know, can we play it? I kind of want to play it now, but I don't know if we're gonna get a copyright strike, so I'm not sure about that. But if you've ever watched like Voltron, I'm definitely gonna put the thing in the blog. Right? Basically, you get 6 cats that come together to form the things, and they're all different colors, and yeah, like dude, it's just so well done. Like I'm like hats off. It's pretty awesome. So. Yeah,
he's definitely going to see this. He'll appreciate that for sure.
It's really well done. Yeah, I don't like the Transformers one that you guys did in Genesis is quite good as well. So I'm pretty impressed with what you guys are building. So, but I'm gonna head on over to. I'll head on over to the temple in gratitude. That's kind of where I am now. And we'll put up some gratitudes, but yeah, why don't you let us know? You have been working on some stuff behind the scenes with Jumbi, and yeah, what's going on? Like you were holding up this. I want to know about that shirt because that shirt's awesome. I don't even know if that's new. It might be old, right? But like, what's the?
So here's the thing. This is one of the first Jumbi shirts I ever acquired. He gave it to me, and it's Andy Warhol, and like like all spectral art changes color in the right lighting, and so this is just something that Jumbi does. He's had this for a while. This is old to him but new to the rest of the world, right? So that's kind of that's kind of like what I'm doing with Jumbi. Is he's been creating stuff for almost 20 years that no one has ever really seen, or it's only been seen by certain pockets of, you know, groups of people in the world. And so like we're bringing all this cool stuff like this, right? This, I just put an NFT up. It's a hologram. Hold on. That changes, and we have all the NFTs of these up there. You can collect each of these in the Hindu series. It's the Trimurti that we have, and it's a hologram. You know, it's pretty cool. Like you walk by it at any angle, and it's one of the gods, you know, in there. And so I don't know. We're trying to do cool stuff that's a little bit different. So these are our first crack at like VIRL NFTs, where you buy the NFT, and June 1st we're going to start redemption. We have 20 of them that, you know, you buy the NFT and we'll get in contact to, you know, get your shipping address and stuff like that, and we'll mail them out. But you know, it's something that he's had this kind of technology, if you will, but really using it outside of festivals was hard. But now with NFTs and blockchains and this like resurgence, this like renaissance of digital art, there's just so much cool stuff. Jumbi's like a dragon sitting on, you know, a treasure trove of things that he doesn't even really, he sees it as treasure, but not like we do, you know? So that's what I'm grateful for, getting to sift through Jumbi's like hoard of artistic treasure and, you know, release it to the world and you know, let people collect it. That's why nothing we have is really too expensive. That's not the point. We're trying to get it out there to be collected, not to get a Lambo, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I ever want a Lambo, but like I think it's sorry, my
Tesla.
head went
I'll take
somewhere.
a Tesla.
Right, my head went somewhere else. I had a bit of a rough year. So yeah, you guys released this. I'm gonna go back here actually. You guys released this series, I guess, about 6 months ago on Wax. I think you had. For people who don't know, it was a series where you could actually buy it for Blue. I think you guys released it with Blue, and then you could go in after, get it with Wax and other tokens. But if you got like four cards in for each picture or something, and then
you blend them together.
It's
to get like a quest,
full image, right? Which was really cool. And you had like gods, deities from kind of all over the world. Like I remember you had a Japanese goddess, you had a couple Indian ones, Vishnu, and there was, I think, some Mayan ones or something as well. It was a pretty cool little series. And this series was all based on, you know, art that had been done in the real world, if I'm not mistaken. Like it was layer upon layer of you know, images that had been dropped on top of one another to give this kind of like almost three-dimensional perspective that I've never seen anywhere. Like the thing that you're holding up is a very good representation of that. It's a little bit different, but yeah, each one of those layers was just kind of created and dropped into that. So I think that's like really quite interesting. So, you know, what's next for you guys? Like, I know that you guys are in the Uplifter building. Like, I don't even know if that's possible, but we have this thing, you know, in Japan where, and I'm sure you do it in the West too, but at times you'll go and you'll walk around and you'll see stairs or walls where, like you say, what you guys do, art changes color, it morphs in form. Have you guys experimented with any of this kind of stuff inside the Uplift? Like,
not yet. So what we're doing is the plan. We have the biggest piece Jumbi's been working on, the Toth piece, to round out the whole Egyptian collection and kind of pull it all together. We're releasing that piece by piece in the Uplift. So we're having each piece of it installed once a week until all 12 of them are revealed, and you'll get the giant piece. And it's going to be the first time the world sees that piece. The next time they'll see it will be at Art Basel. but that's going to be a different representation. So the first time Toth is going to be released to the world will be recorded in the Uplift, and he's got his own plot of land ready to go. My best friend who's building all the robots, he's gonna help install that, and then we're gonna have the picture install done once a week until the whole picture is revealed.
That's very cool. Yeah. So
it's huge, man. It's like it's 22,000 pixels by 11,000 pixels. And like it's being recreated in Unreal 5 right now so that we can do like a cinematic rollout on a 40-foot screen, because there's just so much detail and so much story being told that it needs to be narrated to be looked at. Otherwise you can get lost. So
I was going to say, like, people might not understand the scope and the scale of some of this art that you guys are creating, because it is actually quite massive, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that ties in, from, all sorts of mythological sacred geometry and, spiritual energies, and all sorts of things are all tied together. And, no words are said in these pieces of art. There's nothing explaining it. You have to just kind of look. And as you look at everything that Jumbi's created, it all ties in with one another. They all tell a story to lead to the next one, And the Toth piece is going to tie it all together and make it all make sense and see where all of these pieces fit. So it's kind of like the culmination, sort of like, how Avengers had like 20 movies leading up until their big giant end. It's kind of sort of like that. He's been doing this for, almost 15 years, creating this story, and it kind of culminates with this final piece that is not really final. It's the final of this chapter, but it opens up all the other pantheons. So, look out.
Very cool. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna go first. I'm grateful for you, TerraMike and Jumbi Art, because like I think it's just what you guys stand for.
Appreciate that.
Oh, it worked. Nice. Okay, there we go.
Nice.
How about you, man? What are you grateful for today?
I mean, I'm grateful to be a part of this digital renaissance.
I spell Renaissance. R-E-N.
Oh, that's a great question. Hold on.
R-E-N. I don't know if this is gonna fit. R-E-N-N.
R-E-N-A-I. S-S-A-N-C-E. Is it?
Okay, let's do it this way. Let's TerraMikeify it. This Digi Renaissance.
That works.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I mean, see if I can find it here. So like, yeah, I'm gonna try to pull up your collection. I think you guys have it over on FD Blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, it's pretty impressive what you guys have put together. So if you just go over to
we try to find creative ways to make NFTs a thing. We just did a scavenger hunt for EDC for a friend of ours who had a booth. She has a crystal shop in Vegas, and she's super awesome, super helpful. And so we made this little scavenger hunt for her to kind of bring people to her booth and get people talking about it. We just kind of find fun ways to take this technology and interact with the physical world. And we've got a lot of cool stuff, coming down the pipe where we're like gamifying collecting art.
Oops. What happened there?
It's coming off. Well, no, it's a small image. It should load.
Now is that on my end? I think. Let's see if that fixes it. Right, but so you guys are on Wax. You're also on. You've got stuff on Ethereum as well. I believe a few other blockchains too, right? But like as you can see here, this is the Trimurti hologram viral NFT. I mean, that's pretty cool, man. That's really, really well done. Like, yeah, I'm a fan for sure.
We're trying, you know. I mean, so a lot of where Jumbi's come from is the festival scene. You know, all the music festivals, you know, across the country. And so like he's been developing cool art for people to wear and people to look at for a really long time, but it never really graduated out of the festival circuit. And so now we're kind of bringing it to the digital world in like fun, new, inventive ways. And it's, you know, it's revitalized, you know, all of us.
And this goes live in about 30 minutes, actually.
Yes, 6:36.
Very cool. Yeah. And so, like, I mean, again, like, head on over here. I mean, you guys have got the Genesis packs that are still out there that people can pick up. There's the blends that you guys can interact with. I'm not logged in, so it might not show them. But yeah, like, I just think like some of your art is just really interesting, and the detail, you know, behind it is really cool as well. So,
well, it's funny because I saw Jumbi. He's working on the Toth piece, and he was in it last night, and I didn't realize.
And then there was one. I'm not sure what happened. TerraMike is.
Oh,
there you are. You're back.
Oh,
you didn't realize you left us with one hell of a cliffhanger there. You didn't realize.
I didn't realize how much effort goes into the really small details of everything Jumbi creates. You know, like we're about to be doing a profile picture series of portions of his art hyper zoomed in, because you know those things are 10 feet tall. Like that digitally is 10 feet tall, and we shrunk it down to something that fits like in the palm of your hand, the size of your phone screen. But the original artwork of that is literally the size of almost two humans, and they're giant. Like I've put a few pictures up. I'll give someone scale, but the amount of detail that goes into that gets left unseen when it gets squished it's almost a shame, you know. So we're trying to do some really super high res profile pictures of a lot of Jumbi art, so you can really appreciate the amount of detail that and zooming he does to just make lines. It's crazy.
Well, and I think that's like one of the interesting aspects about it as well, is the reason that this I think works for me is because when you break it up into these smaller images and then use those as blends, it's quite a, you know, cool idea. Like this is just a small part of that, you know, last image, right? Like I don't know why my thing, but like there's just a small corner part or a small face here or there that like really does zoom in and show the detail, right? Like you can see that what we were looking at before, not necessarily optimal. I don't know what's going on here. This is being weird, but yeah, like that you can definitely. I'll drop the link in the description though. Definitely go out and check out like some of the detail in this art on your own computer, because like, you know, it's hard for us to showcase it. Like even just zooming in, we're zooming in at maximum capacity and we're still missing it. So. So, and you're creating some of this as well too. It's not just Jumbi, right?
I mean, I don't do the art. I make it digital. You know, he sends me the files, and then, but you know, we're sitting downstairs and we're brainstorming how we're going to release it, what we're going to release. Like all all of the planning and the strategy, you know, we kind of do all as a team, and everyone has their ideas and inputs, and that's how we get all these cool ideas, like the Kentucky Derby. You know, we basically gamified the Kentucky Derby in a fun and like legal way. You know, you don't win cash prizes, but the only way you could get that Jumbi Derby piece was if you bought the ticket of the winning horse, right? So if you bought the ticket of the winning horse, you can blend it into the winning prize, which was the Jumbi masterpiece. And so, you know, it was cool. Jumbi won his own. You know, he bought a couple of tickets. You know, he bet his own race and he won. So it was cool that he actually won his own Kentucky Derby. It was really exciting. You know, like I've gone to the Derby for years, and I've been excited before about it, but not quite like this. You know, having a little bit of skin in the game and building this little system, but it worked. And now you can do that for pretty much anything. So, you know, if that inspires anyone to, you know, create or release art in that fun kind of way, you know, keep it rare, you know, like instead of just releasing 50 or 100, release, you know, only as many as people pick the winner. I feel like it's a way to add value and all sorts of things.
Yeah, I always wonder, like sometimes we're a little bit oversaturated in the smart. We had a really interesting talk last night. Last night for me on the show with our friend Nathan. You might know, love is the answer, Nathan. And we were talking about, you know, art and what the NFT, you know, scene can do for potential artists. And like it was interesting to me because he has a little bit of a different take than me, right? And I'm kind of glad that he threw that up there, but I'd like to hear yours as well, right? And so like the narrative that we were talking about was quite simple. We were chatting about the ability for it's almost opposite, right? Like I'm kind of freaked out. We're getting hammered on by the door, which is fun. So
that happens.
All right. Yes. Yeah, that's really nice. You got Elmo on. How's that? Yeah, that's fun. Cool. You want to go draw some pictures with mommy? Okay, bye. Good kids love art, right? It's really easy. Sorry, they also love to bump my microphone so that it goes off. And so we were chatting about this, and I like it because we can find artists from places like Africa or Southeast Asia that we never would have really known existed, right? Like I kind of everywhere I am, I've got, you know, something, you know, in my house that I love traveling and collecting art, right? Like that's one of, and it's not expensive art really. Like it's kind of supporting art, like local artists, right? Like, and this is one of my favorite ones actually. Right, and I was just traveling in Europe, and I happened to be in Montenegro, and they had a bunch of them. They had a woolly mammoth and this goat, but like this was, you know, done by a local Serbian artist, right? Like main town of Montenegro that I picked up, and you know, I was freaked out bringing it home, but like I'm packing up my house. I haven't packed it up yet because it's one of my favorite pieces, right? But like I would have never found that if I didn't travel, right? And we see like a lot of artists now who I think they should be more highly regarded than they actually are, but because of where they live and the opportunity that exists for them, they're essentially subjugated to having their things bought up by multi-billion-dollar corporations and sold for less than $1 at, you know, Walmarts and dollar stores across America, right? You go to Hawaii, you can probably find more, you know, Bali or, you know, Indonesian art than you can find anywhere else in the world, just because when people travel, they get that feeling of, you know, tropicalness and they want to, you know, buy something. It's quite interesting, right? Like, but then it's much different than if you're, you know, in the South of the States where there's this like old kind of culture, right, of, you know, native indigenous artwork, or you're, you know, in Africa and you're, you know, wandering around and you find this really cool, you know, street market where you see the guy actually creating it in the background, right? Or in China where they're carving stuff out of jade and you're looking at it and, you know, so another one that I have on the shelf behind me actually is, you know, is this one, and this is a cow that I found, you know, in this is a cow that I found in it has an owner. The owner is me, by the way. This is a cow that I found on the street in China, right? And what's interesting about it is it's jade, and you'll notice that it's not really normal jade color, and that's because it wasn't finished. And the guy was working on it, you know, behind the stall that he was doing, and I was like, I want that one, and he's like, it's not finished. I didn't put the coating on it, and I'm like, I don't care, man. I want it. He's like, but if I put the coating on it, it's going to look like this. And he dipped it in water. And once he dipped it in water, like all of the colors of the jade came out. And I'm like, I want it. Like now, give it to me now. Don't put the coating on. This is my new party trick. I can go and I can put the water on, right? Myself, cool. And you can see it at any time, which is really cool. My point is, like, a lot of these people, you know, they have now the opportunity to be discovered by the West and actually get paid a legitimate salary for what they do, right? Now, Nathan's point was, okay, maybe, but you still have to be good at marketing. You still have to understand, like, you know, how to get your product out there to the people, you know, which some of these people might not be. They might be. We don't know. I mean, some of the, I usually get kicked out of Chinese business shops in China because, like, they're like, no, we're way more valuable than what you're willing to give you. Get out of my shop, right? Yeah. It's like, I suck at haggling, right? But like things like digital art, especially, right? Like the things that you guys in Jumbi are doing. I think that this has the potential to like essentially transform an industry standard when you meld it with the ideas of NFTs and ownership, right? Like this is something that you guys have been doing long before, I don't know, my guess is long before NFTs really existed or they were like big, right? Like I think I remember you telling me like this is almost a decade in the making was the Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas portal release that you guys did. Like long before anyone was really talking or envisioning NFTs and digital ownership, right? So I'm just kind of curious, like, how do you see the play of what all you guys have been working on, you know, for the last decade, morphing into this new kind of found ability for people to actually own it and you know, support you in this new kind of blockchain crypto way?
I mean, it's for the first time ever, people can interact with art in a way that they couldn't before. And the artists, you know, it's almost like art as like a tribe or as a community. And it used to be if you bought something, right, and you sold it 10 years down the road, like the original artist never saw anything. And, you know, we've all heard about artists dying poor, and then 10 years later, things sell for millions of dollars of theirs and all this. This is kind of like the first time where that might not be how it happens. Like it still probably will happen. I'm sure there's going to be artists that get famous long after they're dead or whatever it is. But right now, there's a chance for people to not only get discovered, but also be paid to continue to do art. You know, imagine some of these artists that got rich or that sold $1 million paintings after they died. Imagine they had that $1 million while they were still alive, what they might have done or might have accomplished, right? But the technology didn't exist. That couldn't happen. And not only that, but it's there forever, right? Like when I first talked to Jumbi about NFTs, he was kind of on the fence, and because we didn't know what it was and what it meant and this and that. And at the time, I don't know if it's still the same way, but at the time in India, crypto was not, it wasn't so widely adopted, and it wasn't a legal thing. It wasn't. What we were trying to do is show that crypto assets can have value by being artistic for what they are, right? So that's why Jumbi's Hindu series, there's a reason why he created that, and there's a reason why we brought that digitally first, was to kind of transcend those boundaries of countries that maybe haven't yet adopted crypto, but this could be a good starting point for why they should. And it's all because of the art, you know, and the inspiration people get from looking at it or absorbing it. You know, that's why Jumbi makes a lot of this, is people look at it and stare at it and are inspired by it in some way, and then there's a story behind it, and maybe they're inspired by the story and they want to continue learning. Like it's all to create those sparks. And the digital NFT technology allows artists to tell their story, do their thing their own way, and if people enjoy it, they get to keep making it, right? Their communities will reciprocate. They'll continue to purchase their NFTs to continue having them make more. And just like anything else, if you don't want your favorite restaurant to go out of business, frequent that restaurant. Tell your friends to go to that restaurant, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing.
Sorry, and I think it's interesting too, right? Like shout out to JRG, because you know, Brazilian rapper, his name came up last night when we were talking about this, right? Like he grinds, right? Like he's out there, he's pushing things just like you guys, doing, you know, really interesting things in the space, working hard, and like I'm sure he makes way more selling his stuff in USD than he would right, like in local currency. And I think like this is the selling point for me, right? Because like if you have now the ability to support these artists at a fraction of the cost, you know, of what you would pay potentially, and they would still get more than if you're going through like, you know, some mass media market, old cell phones recycled into bicycle toys for your kids that you can buy at the dollar. So I'm sorry, I keep going back to this, but it drives me absolutely insane the amount of like artistic people out there that we don't support, right? Musicians and stuff as well, right? Like, and we've got the ability now to kind of, I don't know how it goes when you think about, right, JPEG pegs or you know, pirated copies of music and things like that, right? But I would like to think that the majority of people would throw over a few dollars, right? Like $26 isn't that much if you like the art that Jumbi's doing, to toss it into the mix and pick up one of these NFTs. And that the byproduct of that is the ability to actually have artists and musicians that make money, which means that they have time to dedicate to their art and their music, as opposed to having to find time, you know, for that art and music while they're holding on to like crappy full-time jobs, working at convenience stores or supermarkets in order to make ends meet, right? And I think that's where the value is in it, not necessarily getting rich. The ability to actually pay people for what they're good at doing. And most artists, you know, are, you know, maybe they might not be art or music that you like, but the majority of them are probably good at doing what they're doing. And that's why their life is so crappy, trying to make ends meet doing it, right? Like, I mean, you know what I mean, right? You know, you spun up your own brands. It's not easy to sit on the street corner, you know, with weird tie-dye t-shirts being like, hey, do you want to buy my shit? Like, and everyone's like looking at you, who is this weird? Like, go get a job, man. And it's like, dude, I have a job. It's just like, you wankers won't pay me to do what I'm really good at doing, right? Like, and so I think like it's quite interesting. Sorry, I could go on little tangents there. Like I mean, I want to sell my NFTs, right? But like, I don't know if I'm good enough, right? So there's that too. But right.
I mean, I got lucky a couple years ago and got to go to a Q&A with Kevin Smith, which is one of my favorite directors. And at the end of the whole Q&A, he like addressed the audience, and he said, you know, if you're an artist or if you're a creator, if you've made anything, just put it out there. You know, like put it out there for all the people who don't wake up tomorrow to put it out there for them, you know, and just get it out there, because if it's not out there, no one can know about it. No one can enjoy it. And you're like depriving the world of maybe some kind of enjoyment, whether everyone likes the song or not doesn't really matter. If one person does and you brought a little enjoyment to that one person, it was worth you doing it, right? And if everyone had that kind of same mentality, if let's kind of do it for other people, like have you seen the Chinese depiction of hell and heaven? It's one image with one very small, minuscule difference. And so it's people sitting at a table eating food, and they have chopsticks that are 6 feet long. And they're trying with these 6 foot long chopsticks to feed themselves, and they just can't, because the chopsticks are just ridiculously long and they just won't get into their mouth. That is the depiction of hell, where you have a table full of food, but you can't eat it because your instruments are not working to feed yourself with. Now, that same exact image on the top, the picture of heaven, everyone is taking those same chopsticks and feeding the person across from them, and everyone eats happily, right? So if we can adopt that kind of mentality where it's like, if you're an artist or if you're this, do it, make other people happy, and maybe that person will make a person happy in a pay it forward kind of way. But I feel like if the whole entire world did that, like, we might see some change. I don't know.
I haven't seen that image, and I thought you were going to go totally in the other direction. I thought you were going to say like heaven is like when chopsticks are, the size that they should be. But like, yeah, China is not that simple. Very complicated old society, which is lovely at times. But yeah, like that's totally true, right? Like, if we look at like what happens in Asia, we haven't quite lost it yet. I think certain countries are kind of starting to gravitate towards that Western ideology of, old people are burdensome, so like put them in a home. But up until this point, the majority of societies in the East have been, out there looking after, family members and kind of supporting one another. Now, as people start to move into the cities and adopt that Western mentality and mind frame, right? And again, Nathan was talking about this. We just get you on the show with Nathan too, like at some point, because I don't know if you've ever met him, but you guys would hit it off, right? Like he was talking about this, and he's like, like, why would you not smile at someone who looks like they're having a bad day? Right? That's not what he said, but essentially, like, that's what he said, right? Like he recounted this story. Go watch it back. If you missed our last night Monday morning show with Love is the Answer. But like, yeah, he's just like, people freak out. Like this guy, he just wanted a lighter to light a cigarette. And because he was homeless, everyone was just jumping to conclusions saying, I don't have money, get away, leave me alone, get out of my life. Right. And it's like, his whole philosophy, I think, is kind of, summed up in, what you're saying, right? Like we have the ability to be kind and generous and help one another, but we're in this situation where we're in life, and we think that we need to curtail everything in order to fit into the mold that has been created for us. And what's sad for me about that is a lot of times, art and creativity and kindness and compassion. Those are the 4 things that kind of take a back seat to that, right? Like, I mean, we do have to be a little bit careful. We do have to, be wary of other people, but we don't have to be negative ourselves, right? Like we do need to make a living, right? But we don't necessarily need to sit in an office and punch numbers into a screen all day, especially in the society that we live in. Now, it's not easy to carve your own path. It's not easy to, get out of the math and science. I'm going to study, get a university degree, go thousands, hundreds of $1,000s into debt so that I can work for a company and maybe, on paper own a house that doesn't really belong to me, that belongs to the bank, and not follow those dreams as a musician or an artist. But as an artist or a musician yourself, who kind of, grew up in the North and has relocated halfway across the country to become a part of this thing that you guys are, collectively building. For people who don't know, Jumbi Art is not just a brand. It's a place, and you guys hold events. People can come in. You've actually put up a wall of gratitudes at the entrance to your place, where people actually like signed real life gratitudes, because of, what the Uplift was doing, and you appreciated that. So from your perspective, right, as a person who, I don't know, if you love science and math, stay in science and math, right? So don't take this the wrong way. But as a person who got out of that, that lifestyle, because that's, the Voltron age was when we were being pushed into sciences and maths, and a lot of us left, right? Like, so from your perspective, what would you say to young people, or even not young people, but people who are tired of doing what they're doing, and they want to throw their passion, into their livelihood and try to make it go. What's the best advice that you could give them, Mike?
Basically, you got to be okay with not being good at it at first, right? Success doesn't just come right overnight. And sometimes we do things that we hope are going to be successful immediately, and they're not. And then we sort of give up hope a little bit. Don't do that. Don't do that, because, when you want to give up hope, that's when you're about to make your biggest leap of growth, right? You just got to kind of push through that, make this big leap of growth. And then you realize the success of that didn't matter. What matters was the doing of it, right? So just keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it. That's something Jumbi did. Jumbi's been making these, 1,200 layer images for years and years and years and years and years and years. And he just kept doing it. He had an idea, he kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. And whether or not, they're displayed in Times Square or not, wasn't really his mark of success. He enjoys it. He had them printed, put them up on his wall. Now he gets to look at them. So whatever you're going to do it. And do it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. I've created stuff just because I wanted it for me, and other people just thought it was cool. And I was like, all right, I guess I'll make one for you too. But make what you want. Make that song that you want to hear. I heard a mix out at EDC this weekend, and one of the thoughts that I had in my head, I was like, if I did this, I would have done it a little bit differently. But that dude made the song that he wanted to hear, and it was awesome, and it went off without a hitch. But make what you want. If you're a chef, make food that you like to eat, that you love, right? And then make it for someone else and see if they love it too. Just make sure what you're doing is for you and not for the eyeballs that are on you or the people that are listening to you. Don't do it for those people. Those people have no bearing on you whatsoever. Do it for you or don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't eat, yeah, that's interesting. My brother he was going through chef school, and he's got like allergies to fish, and so he kind of had to quit. He's like, "How can I cook fish for people if I can't even eat it?" And I thought that was like, I'm like, you probably could, but like, whatever, right? Like, I think it's quite interesting that you framed it that way. So, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but like, again, like there's a few people in the uplift. Like I know G Kid's in the comments. He loves what he's doing here, and he's been, building resource guides actually to essentially teach people, how to uplift, which is really cool because he loves doing it, right? Like he's got a few blog posts that we threw up with him. I'll drop the link in the comments, but a few blog posts of him just like flying around and taking snapshots of various builds and things like that, and something that I like doing too. But yeah, one of my favorites, which I don't think you've ever seen, and I think it'll fit really well with your style of clothing and art. I don't like. Let's just watch it because I think this is a fun one. The Royal Decks Gallery over in Uplift. Are you aware of that?
I don't know. I got to see it.
Yeah, all right. So we'll do it because I think you'll like it. So yeah, sit back, relax, and enjoy the roll decks. So this one is just an amazing tapestry of like different blocks and colors and all kind of put together. But I think it goes to your point. I had a conversation with the creator of that, and like he didn't know how to uplift. I mean, TC and a couple other people came in and like showed him how to do stuff, and then he built that, right? Like
That's
just
awesome.
because he wanted a place to display his art. So
that was impressive.
Yeah, I could totally see like a cool. I'm excited to see when you guys get your full-fledged gallery up in the uplift.
Yeah,
so.
We've got it all cored out. It's in Genesis, and we just dug every block out that we were allowed to dig out, and it's all the way down the space and cored out all the way up to the ceiling. So Toth is gonna be 12 images, 4 high and 3 wide. So we've got a lot of space that we're going to need just to display him properly. So we'll be starting with that here pretty soon. But yeah, that's going to be coming together here soon enough.
That's not the transformer plot. That's a different one.
No, it's a different one. We have a rail. Jumbi has a rail in Genesis just for Toth, so we can display the real image of him in 12 different pieces. 12 different 16 by 16s.
I'm gonna have to go and revisit the Transformers build and also the Voltron build, but definitely like when you guys are ready, come on and we can maybe even do like a live showing release on the show or something, because I'm excited to see a massive canvas inside the Uplift is something that I'm not sure we have very many of, right? And so you've got this potential to kind of shape the genre of what a gallery viewing can be like in the Uplift, right? Multiple things side by side on top of one another.
I mean, now when you put it like that, there was no pressure before, but now thanks for all the pressure.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's what I do. It's morning time. I'm not so relaxed. But yeah, so yeah, as always, thanks for joining us. If again, definitely go and check out Jumbi Art and all that's kind of happening with NFT TerraMike. And I'll drop the link for the Twitter into the StreamYard here below. And I think the links are below as well. You can follow that to all the home pages. You can also find them over on Nifty Blocks and see what kind of cool things that they're doing. But honestly, don't stop there. If you go over to the Jumbi Art homepage, there's a bunch of things that are beyond the blockchain that you might want to plug yourself into as well. I think there's links there for some of the t-shirts that are on sale, ones like what you're wearing, some of the real world merchandise and goods. So if you're a fan of the style, there's a way to take that out of the metaverse and out of the picture frames as well. So any last shout outs before we let you go there, Mike?
I mean, pretty much, shout out to the whole Wax fam, like everybody on Wax. Like we all came here long ago because it was a great blockchain and it had great people and we weren't wrong, so it's like, shout out to everyone doing it. Keep doing it. Don't give up hope. It's a little bit of a downturn in the crypto world right now, but that doesn't mean anything. Just go harder.
All right. 100% agreed. And definitely go and check out the Nifty Blocks page because there's a drop that probably went live about 5 minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
I guess. All right. Thanks all for joining us. I think Corey will be back a later show today. Tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. Our 9 o'clock shows aren't happening. And we'll be back tomorrow with more goodness, greatness, and amazing things. Please take care of yourselves, enjoy life, and not in the words of NFT TerraMike, but from the emotional standpoint, go and do something that makes you happy and don't think about what other people are caring about. And if it's creative, all the better, right? Like, just try it once. You might be surprised. You might actually get, some joy out of that in life, which would be cool. And I'm going to go and do stuff that I have to do, but then I'm going to work my tail off to try to like get out some of these NFTs that I've been planning in the background. So thanks for that motivation and inspiration, Mike.
Glad to help. Appreciate it. Have a good night.